Hey everyone, welcome to another Friday night beat chat. Hey David and Tom and Hannley and let's see, we got Stone River, we got Keith. Let me go ahead and get the link posted and all that so we can invite everybody in. Let's see here. And there it is. Hey, Todd, Randy, Mike. So, hope everybody had a good day here. It's been raining pretty much all day. Nothing very hard, but just enough to make it kind of soggy and miserable and all that. Um, let's see. And then we got Tom coming in. There's Mr. Tom, Mr. Swarm Catcher himself.
Yeah. 23 now.
How many swarms you got now? About 10?
23.
How many?
23.
23 swarms. And there's somebody else's swarms, right?
17 in traps and the rest of them out of trees and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You guys must have a lot of beekeepers that don't know how to keep their hives from swarming.
No doubt.
Huh?
I said, no doubt. Is my volume low?
Yeah, you're doing. What'd you say, Tom?
Is my volume low?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of make it take the bass out of it a little bit or something.
Well, all right, let me check something.
Yeah, now it's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
This one better?
Yeah.
Different driver.
Well, it makes your voice clearer, whatever. So 23 swarms, that's huge.
Yeah, it's most ever, double of last year. So I
Yeah.
fill up all my monster horizontal hives and stuff like that with them.
Yeah, Jason, I know the honeybee compound. Um, this week actually I got out there. I'm getting feedback. Tom, you're looping? No, there you go. Nope, you're still looping.
Oh, that's weird.
You got YouTube shut down?
Yeah, this one.
Anyway, what I was talking about is telling Jason there, Honeybee Compound. I was out there Monday night or Monday evening, Tuesday evening, trying to get every little bit done. Wednesday we had a club meeting, and let's see. I guess that was, or actually, I was out there Wednesday during the day. I ran after Hey Kathy and Richard. Yeah, we're
Richard.
still coming back.
It is. What the heck's going on?
You got the speakers coming to your microphone. So I went out there Wednesday and checked the checked the highs for supers and see if they needed anything. And try to see whether it's my new queens are laying up a storm. Yeah, I know, Richard. We're trying to get that fixed. The echo. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good to me.
1, 2, 3.
You're good. There's no
Okay.
echo. There's no feedback. Put it to you that way.
I had some crackling on my end, so I don't know where that came from.
I don't know. Is it your cell phone?
Yeah, I do have it sitting next to me.
Well, I don't think it would be on unless you're calling me. Hey, Steve. So everything is good. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to clear up by noontime. Yeah, it's still coming through. But I'm going to try to check everybody and make sure all my queens are laying up brood. And I know there's one nuke out there I don't think made it as far as the new queen. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I just checked one of my easy nukes that I had a queen cell in it, and it had a whole rack of tap brood, which kind of surprised me. So a queen must have flew in on me somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And but they it must have swarmed because they had two swarm cells on the bottom of one frame and a swarm cell in the middle of a frame.
Hey, Tom and Melissa.
Hey Tom, this I couldn't find the queen. You know, it's only 5 frames. There's only like 3 frames of bees left in it. So I said, it swarmed. But I could find larvae that was only like 2 days old. So they just swarmed. So I was looking
Yeah.
through my backyard, but I couldn't find them. It's only
Yeah,
like
the honeybee compound there, Jason there. Yeah, we and that's another problem we're having is, here comes the locust blooming. And as I always call it, here comes the locust rains right at the same time.
yeah.
And we were supposed to have crappy weather Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it all kind of held off. And we didn't have really bright sunny skies in most of them days, but it did. Friday is the only day it really rained. I'll say Thursday evening it tried to shower around 4 o'clock, and but that's been a real bummer here, washing the bloom away. And I'm thinking, usually in the last couple of years, it seems like number one, the locust bloom is about 2 weeks early. Number two, the poplar is either at the same week or right behind the locust. And yeah, I mean the bees were clustering today. They're not going out in this crappy weather.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We got about 2 days of the black locust, then the storms hit last week.
Is that right?
Yeah. But the problem is our basswood trees are blooming now, and they usually bloom the last week of June. So within another week, every tree has bloomed already. That usually blooms, all through May and all through June.
Right.
So in another 2 weeks, the only thing we're going to have left are the clover. I think the wild roses are blooming. The blackberries, raspberries are blooming. But that's about it. The trees are going to be done. So we
Well,
might have a long summer dearth if it gets hot and dry out.
Well, that's my big concern. I mean, of course, with me and my situation, I'm basically rebuilding my apiary this year. I'm trying
Right.
to, I just looked at my my bottling tank and it's mighty low. And so I'm hoping to get some. I mean, I do have supers on and they're filling and all that kind of stuff on the bigger hives. And I don't know. It's going to be a hard year for honey for me. And my other nukes that I've been transitioning, I put them in 5 frame, transition to mediums, and I've those. That's what I did this week is flipped them over to 10 frame medium boxes and trying to cycle the deep brood or the deep frames out. And then I have 5 of the other hives, which are all deep frames. They're all doing good. Actually, one of them looked like to me it had a hatch of bees from the deep frames. A lot of bees. So I actually put on a second medium brood box for them to, and it's open frame, as far as, comb, and so she can start laying.
Right.
And the other ones are getting close to that. And looks like I think most of my nukes are in good shape. Most of my production hives that I requeen, as far as I can tell, are in good. Like I say, if I get a decent day tomorrow, that's the number one thing I want to do. I've got everything else maintenance wise, as far as transitioning and checking for honey supers. One thing I've noticed is, and I don't know, maybe you might have a thought on this, is that I've noticed, like, I had a demaree in one of the highs. Weather's against me, time's against me, so they filled where they brood had hatched out, and where the other frames were in there, they were kind of like brood frames. They filled all that up with nectar. Now it also has a honey super, empty one at the queen excluder level on the bottom, as I call it, and it's
Right.
not quite as full. And then there's those 2 hives that you can see behind me all the way out there towards the field. One is purple with white box on top. Now it's got 2 honey supers on it now. One on it was full of bees, and I just went ahead and dropped a empty super on top. The yellow hive has 2 full supers on top, and then the bottom super is empty. So I'm going to see which one they filled. It seemed like to me they're filling in the top instead of the one next to the brood chamber.
Huh. Well, maybe because it flows it's been so heavy. At least in my area, it's been, everything blooming at one time. I think they're just trying to bring it in as fast as they can.
Well, they're doing that, but um, I'm just saying,
Why they're filling the top.
it's easier for me and everybody else just to put an empty super on top and walk
Right.
away instead of me under supering. Hey, Hanley.
Hey guys,
Hey, Haley. Yeah, I've read so many articles of pros and cons of under or over, and they all said it makes no difference.
Well, I read an article in, I think it was American Bee Journal. Same thing. Scientifically, they said it made no difference.
Yeah, and I'm not young, so I don't want to lift any extra boxes up. So I always put them on top.
That's why I got the hive lifter.
Yeah, I got a bad knee lifter.
But, like I say though, if I could, all I got to do is walk down the line and plop, 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 plop a honey super empty, and make
Right.
it frame, make sure it's, lined up and all that. I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
So
that's all I do.
watch them 2 highs, and I'm gonna see which one fills the first. Like I said,
Right.
the little purple hive has got a full honey super and an empty on top, and the other one's got an empty and 2 fulls on top, and we'll see which one goes first. So
You never know.
I don't know. It's like I always say, beekeeping is a science experiment that never quits.
Yeah, is it the same genetics of queens or different genetics?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you put a fresh queen in there, 2024 queen, you can definitely tell that she's out to do some laying eggs.
Yep.
I didn't, at the time I had certain things I had to get done. Did not have time to go through and kind of dig through the hive. And sometimes I seen some eggs. And I said, well, I haven't seen a small spot. It was just after she had been released. And then I seen one of the nukes that's like well, right now there's a picture of a couple nukes there standing up. They're all been converted. And she had worked up into those medium frames that were brood frames. And, some of them, they're laid up,
Right.
party. I'm like, yay, So, that's the biggest lesson I've learned this year. Got to have fresh queens all the time.
Yeah, that's why I try to weed queen every year.
I mean,
I do all that
I'm not going to do
grafting.
it every year, but I'm going to try to do it at least every second honey season.
Well, every summer solstice, that's when I do my most of my grafting. And I put a double screen board over the older queen and put a box on top with the new
Yeah.
queen.
Yeah, Melissa, you're right. Hey, Mike. So Hanley, what's happening?
Not much. Just trying to keep up with the swarms.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Tom, but I got number 16 today.
really?
Yeah.
You're not too far behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, not to sound rude, but today was lucky. I went to check a hive that I baited. For whatever reason, I cannot get a swarm in this box. There's bees in it every time I checking it out, but for whatever reason, they're not going in. And I had to take a leak, stand there by another tree, glance over, and there's a swarm hanging just a foot off the ground.
Wow.
Hey, and of course, I didn't have anything with me, so I had to run back to town, get stuff, run back out there. But free bees are free bees.
Right. And this time of year, they're usually pretty good queens.
Notice this year, I rely a lot on swarms every year to build a lot of comb for me. And the swarms I'm getting this year are not building comb as fast as they normally do.
Is there a pretty good flow on or not?
It's kind of been hit or miss. Our weather's just been janky.
Yeah, I think the weather, all these rainy days have slowed some of that building up.
Yeah, yesterday it was cold and rainy all day. It was miserable. Now today it was beautiful today. It's supposed to be beautiful again tomorrow. So we'll see. But I'm gonna start spending more time in the shop because I am wiped out of frames ready to go. The swarms are just taking more frames than I had ready.
Well,
Yeah.
like I say, it's been overcast and cloudy here for the last 3 days, except for maybe Wednesday, and then Thursday was overcast. It was cool. It was say 60. Today it was like 57 tops. It's right now it's 50 degrees.
That's what it was here
And
yesterday.
it was a rainy drizzle all day long. So I mean the bees are it was no fly day today for sure.
Yeah, it's 61 here today, but it was sunny all day. So it was a nice day outside today. Tomorrow is like 65 and sunny.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be another good day. But
Yeah, I was upper 60s and sunny all day.
yeah,
Tomorrow's supposed to be more cloudy. I think a little rain's supposed to come in the morning,
is it?
clear up later in the day and be around 69 again.
Yeah, I think we're not going to get rain again until Sunday. I think it's supposed to be like 75 and rainy Sunday.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely been a weird season already.
You're in
Early.
Indiana, right?
Yeah, northern
Yeah.
Indiana.
You get any of that storm stuff that everybody's been getting hammered?
It broke up. It went right around us. I normally don't worry about strapping my hives down. But man, I looked at the radar and it looked like we were going to get hit. So I went and I started strapping stuff down. And of course, when I was strapping stuff down, I discovered a swarm right when it started pouring. So I'm trying to get that swarm in a box. And luckily it did break up and went around us. We got a little wind, but nothing like everybody else did.
Yeah, there was somebody on Facebook down there in Columbia, Tennessee, and they got all their outbuildings were slammed, trees
Yeah.
were just ripped, and all their high they were selling bees and stuff like that. And I mean, nukes and whatever. I mean, it's just scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, on
It's
Tuesday
crazy
night,
storms.
between southeastern Indiana, south of Indianapolis, through the east side of Cincinnati had 9 tornadoes, but all
Wow.
F0s and F1s, so not real big tornadoes.
Well, still a tornado though.
Still enough to do some damage.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it's. I've been watching the news a little bit, and I mean, it's just one town after another is completely level, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's all over the country, seems like.
Mm-hmm. You didn't ever used to hear Nashville getting all that kind of stuff, but here in the last 5 years or so, they're really starting to get hit with a lot of tornadoes and stuff. And Columbia is kind of a south of the city, I believe it is, southeast. And like I say, it was a wooded area. It just like they mowed it down.
Wow. Yeah, and then Texas is either so dry that nothing's growing or everything's underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they don't have a happy medium in Texas.
Right. Yeah, PJ, I've been pulling in my swarm traps. I got half of them in because I don't want any more. I don't want any more swarms.
Well, today I had to resort to using a political sign for a lid. That's where I'm at on equipment. I have got to get some equipment built.
I got one empty box left, and that's it. One double for 5.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Matt.
That's my emergency if one of mine swarms.
Yeah, I only have one empty nuke box left, but I have a double mating box, and both those came back mated, and it's only 3 frames on each side, so I've got to get them in a bigger box tomorrow. So I've just got to get some stuff built first thing in the morning.
Right. Yeah, I'm full. I hadn't even checked my other yard. I'm going to hopefully get there tomorrow. I haven't been there in 3-4 weeks, and I got a swarm trap there. I got 3 swarm traps in that property.
Huh.
I might have 3 more swarms. I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, there's an Amish guy that asked me if I would take care of his hives and just give him a gallon of honey. I mean, I haven't even made it out there to check his. I've just been so busy with mine. So I'm hoping I can get down there in the next day or 2.
Hey, Sandy and Annette and Jack.
They've probably swarmed by now, I'm sure.
Yeah. I had a high school friend call me this week, and he lives in a 150-year-old house. And he showed me pictures of dead honeybees. I think he's got a hive in his attic. An open air hive in his attic, because those old houses don't have hollow walls. It's brick. It's a brick building, and they just have that little wood slat, and then the walls, the inside walls there. So I'm going to have to go there sometime this weekend to see what he's got.
Yeah. Do you have a vac? Do you have a bee vac?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get one of those.
Yeah, probably that's what I'll use on that. And if it is a hive, I'll have to cut the comb out,
right?
And frame it up.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. He had an outside what do you call it, hot tub. Luckily, it doesn't have any water in it, and bees are inside between the tub and the wall. So I think you can flip it up. And a friend of mine's got a bee vac and all that, so he's supposed to went over there today or Thursday, I guess it was.
Yeah, he showed me a picture, and he had about 1,000 dead bees in his attic, and I figured it swarmed, and the bees didn't know where to go.
Probably.
Yeah.
I went and helped another beekeeper with a swarm here in town 3 days ago. It was the meanest colony I have been around in 10 years.
Wow.
Usually swarms, I might get stung once or twice, but I picked 15 stingers out of me, and that was 90% of those was in my hands.
It's probably a queenless swarm.
I don't know how many the other guy, the only thing he had was a veil and a t-shirt, and man, they were tearing him up.
Yeah. I picked one out last week of a friend's house, tree, and it stung me a few times. I had to put my suit on, which is kind of strange for a swarm.
Right.
And I told him, he goes, yeah, these bees have been really pestering. You can't even walk outside the house. Well, I went and checked the hive a few days later, had no queen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's what I told him. I said, probably didn't have a queen.
It may
So the
not.
queen
It was mean.
queen got eaten or something.
I'll
So
have
I
to
just-
ask. We got him in a box. I'll have to ask him if he ended up finding a queen in there or not.
Yeah, I just merged it with another swarm
Yeah.
that cut that same day.
Hey, Brad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care what, whether it's a swarm or whatever. I'm going to wear my full protection.
Well, the cannabis one was on the main trunk kind of branch. I just scooped them up with my hand. Man, it was a big swarm too. We got one cannabis center in Cincinnati. So I had to have, ID and the whole 9 yards, gated.
Yeah. I need to get better at wearing my stuff. I'm horrible at it.
So am I.
Depends on whether you got bees that are friendly or not.
I'll give you a little
Yeah.
secret if you want to catch swarms in a trap. Bees love blue boxes.
Blue?
I don't know why, but they like blue boxes.
Really?
Yeah, I made a blue tote box a few years ago, and I've moved it around to different places, and I always catch bees in it.
Is
And
that
I,
the one
I,
that's at your brother's?
I put a perfectly better trap right next to it, and they picked the blue one. This year, I put a 10 frame all comb and a 5 frame medium super all comb, and they picked the blue one. They had one comb framed and open frames.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, they do. So I'm making all my traps blue now.
Interesting. You'll paint them all blue, and next year they'll want red.
No, they
Yeah.
don't like red, because red, to
Yeah.
them, it looks black.
No, does it really?
Yeah, they can't see red.
They're ultra. I mean, if the science people know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sometimes I wonder about some of
Hey,
the
Square Bee Farm.
studies.
I wonder about all of them.
Mike?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
the
don't
way I treat the mites, the scientist told me the answer, and he didn't. To this day, he didn't realize he even told me the answer. How to kill mites. In one of his speeches I heard a couple years ago.
What was that?
Well, I'm coming out with a product this fall. I should be. It actually stops the mite from reproducing. It's a mite stopper. It doesn't kill them, it just stops them from reproducing.
It's just birth control.
It's birth control, yep.
Mite
Mite-
birth control.
Mite birth control.
Hey, Alex. Well, you're getting that patent, I hope.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
And all.
Kinda.
Yeah, don't let it just go out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody will snatch it up if you do.
right.
Jason there at Honeybee Compound caught a blue in a blue.
Yeah, he's a blue hive. Yeah, blue hives work. I now have 7 blue hives. And my white one, I put blue tape around the entrance.
Oh, that's
Painter's tape. That blue painter's tape.
Wonder what that.
Interesting.
So I'm getting rid of all my wooden ones because they're they're too heavy once they got bees in them. And I don't even put any of my traps on trees anymore. I put them on garbage cans, chairs, fence post if it's one of those big wooden ones.
I seen you had some of your brothers on a deck or something.
Yeah, my brother's, I have it on a deck that's about 7 feet high.
Well, see, who was it? Dr. Tom Seeley. He had wrote in a book about, he had put it up 8 or 16 feet up in the tree and all that kind of stuff. Somebody asked him about that, after the book had been written out. Oh, no, I don't do that anymore. And I look at it where, like you say, if you put it at a normal level, I think bees will find it anywhere. It don't matter. The height really doesn't matter that much.
Right.
Last year I had one sitting on the ground that I forgot to put up and I got a swarm in it. It was sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I've had quite a few swarms move in just to empty boxes that were just sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Not even baited. They're just empty boxes. I never got around to cleaning up.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think the height matters so much. It's more the location.
Yeah, and I like to put mine in the shade or just morning sun, and that's about it. They don't like to be out in the sun, I don't think.
No. I try to put most of my traps either on the outer edge of a woods or in a tree line by a field. I've just seemed to have great luck with my traps there.
Well, that one on my platform, my brother's barn, that's sitting right in the middle of a field. There's fields all around it in a big lake. There's no the closest woods is 100 yards away or 80, 100 yards away. But I catch them there every year.
That's nice though.
And it's got a nice little step ladder to get up to it. It's perfect.
There you go.
Is there somebody else around there that's got bees, or it's just a wooded area?
There's a lot of Amish that lives around his area out in Indiana and East Enterprise in the Indiana area, and there probably swarms off the Amish.
Yeah, we have a lot of Amish in Indiana.
And they almost every household keeps bees, at least a few hives.
Yeah. There's Amish everywhere here.
And so these bees, I don't know how much they're treated, because they don't like. Well, they will, if they can get the chemicals, they'll use it, but I don't know how much they treat.
A lot of Amish don't treat theirs.
Right. So I figure if I'm catching pretty good swarms at my brother's place.
Yeah.
Are they mostly farmers, Haley?
No, most of the Amish around here, I mean, they're all farmers, but most of them don't do it full time. Most of them work in RV factories. Most of them are factory workers.
Really?
Yeah.
They work in RV factories, cabinet shops.
House building stuff.
Yes, they're big into construction.
Construction.
But they almost all farm on the side. But no, they go where they can make the money. That's a fact.
Well, they're no different than us. Hey, Kim.
No, they're not. They're not.
I mean, here, like we're around Lancaster, Pennsylvania, is big Amish, but they'll get into making stuff, some steel fabrication or wood fabrication.
Yeah, they're fantastic when it comes to creativity and skills. They're good.
So yeah, they have construction around here. They'll have somebody drive them.
Yeah,
and do a lot of construction, and they do it, reasonably well.
Right. Yeah, I know one.
There's money goes
outside town. He's got a whole fleet of construction trucks, and He's got to pay somebody else to drive them all. But
Yeah. But every one of them's got their cell phone.
all of them, yes. Yeah, that's really changed over the years.
Well,
I used to
it's
pick them up when I worked in the factory. I used to pick some up and haul them back and forth to work.
Mhm.
And it always amazed me. A lot of times on Fridays, they'd have me hit the liquor store and they would down a big 40 ounce beer on the way home. It always made me laugh.
They're no different than us,
They're
except for
not.
their
Not.
dress
Yeah.
and a few, things that they have to follow.
Right. Right. They just don't sit around on the internet and talk to each other at night.
Nope. And all. Yeah, I don't know. It just, like I say, they just do things a little bit different.
Yeah. They do have an awesome sense of community, though. When it comes to community, nobody does it better than the Amish people.
And
Yeah, we're pretty close to my brother's place. It's not even a mile away. The Amish have a wood mill, sawmill going on.
hey,
And I
Larry,
know they make cut a lot of timber just for their people.
Right. Yeah. That's and I need to get hooked up with somebody that's got a sawmill so I can make my boxes cheaper.
Yeah, I haven't. I've only talked to them a couple times when I drive by their place. That seems like I never catch them. I think they're just there during some weekdays, and that's it.
Do you buy your boxes,
Part-time.
Charlie, or do you make them since you're already set up?
I buy them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You got a sawmill and you buy them.
Yep.
You make too much money, Charlie.
No, just the first thing you have to have dry lumber.
Yeah.
And so you're going to make them out of pine. So, I mean, I do buy some pine in and stuff like that. But, that means that I got to work 7 days a week in the wood shop. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm there 5.5 days a week. Like tomorrow, I'm there from 8 to 12. And then, I'll do some repairs and stuff like that, my own stuff, or I'll make shims while I'm in between waiting on customers. But then when it comes to finger jointing, you can't make your boxes, with a rabbit.
Yeah, that's how I make mine.
But Jason Crook over there, and so he's got one of them machines that you can put the board in, pull the lever down, and it's got a set of cutters that'll make the finger joints.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm ready to sell that. And he said, I buy my boxes. The heck with this stuff.
Yeah, I looked at them. Those are expensive.
You're going to pay at least $1,000 for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I make almost all mine. I haven't bought a box and I bet I haven't bought a box in 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
like everything else, I'm surprised that the commercial guys that are on the internet, like Ian. I mean, here's a guy that works all day with me, and he'll talk, with us guys in the evenings or on the weekends.
Right.
And that's like me wanting to talk about the sawmill. I'm like, I don't want to talk about no sawmill.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how Ian does it. And on top of that, he farms.
Well, he has brothers and other hired help, I think, too.
That does the farming.
He helps his other brother's farm, yes.
But he has a whole crew.
Well,
I'm just a one man show here.
That's what
Well,
I am.
And I'm only half a man.
I'm right here. 2 hands and 1 good knee. I'm having a knee replacement later on this year.
Do that in the wintertime.
No, that's Nobby time. I got to do it before Nobby.
Ah,
there you go. Buy the boxes, about price of boxes and your time and all that stuff. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brad.
yeah. Brad would know. Brad lives in his wood shop, I think.
So, I mean,
I didn't see a video from his wood shop this week.
what's that, Brad?
Yeah, usually they've been doing a live during the week from his wood shop, and I didn't see one.
That's something new. I know he does his blog, every Saturday morning.
Yeah, him and Bob have been doing that live in the middle of the day. That's kind of nice. I'm out in my shop, and I can listen to that one. I'm fiddle farting out there.
Missed his last 2. I've just been too busy. 40 hives, all these swarms, working full time.
Well, you said 40?
Yeah.
So I gave some away. So I think with all the swarms now, I think I'm at 31.
Okay.
I gave some away. I was hoping to get a couple young people interested in beekeeping. So I offered up some free colonies this year. They just had to buy all their own equipment.
Right.
And I would supply the bees. I only had one kid interested in it, but
I
he's
had
a
one young
17-year-old kid, so
one couple. I gave them 2 of my swarms. They said they just bought the equipment. They bought 2 hives worth, and they said we tried to buy some bees, but everybody sold out. I said, well, I can catch a couple swarms for you. They're friends of my youngest son. They're like 26 years old. Just got married. I got the swarms a week before they got married. So they're working. They're about, I don't know, about 10 miles west of me in Indiana.
well, if they're from Indiana, they can't be half bad.
I used to be in Fort Wayne at one time, up by your area.
Yeah, that's just a little over an hour from me.
Okay,
Straight down 30.
gotcha.
Yeah, because I'm literally less than a minute off of 30. South
Okay,
of 30.
and my brother lives in Indiana, and I go there all the time. That's where I catch those swarms. East Enterprise. I don't know if you know where that is. It's in Switzerland County.
Yeah, I don't know where that one's at.
Yeah.
Hey, Lake.
So, Charlie, you got all your production. Are you set the way you want to be set up all summer?
Well, yeah, as far as the hives and stuff like that, I just got to grow them, get them big.
Yeah.
We need to get some swarms and take the queen out and dump the bees in them.
Mm. Yeah, but the way the darn weather is right now, I don't know whether it's going to really work out of anything. Hey, Morgan.
That's a good way to make them big real quick.
Mm-hmm. Won't they
I
fight?
got one more left, small one, on my production hives that I need to throw a swarm into it. Not the queen. I've got 4 or 5 cast swarms this year, and half of them don't have queens in them, and they're only like 2 frames.
What's that? Mating boxes?
There's cast swarms. There's virgin swarms.
What is it now?
Cast swarms.
Oh, okay.
And virgin swarms.
Yeah. We were talking about that on that other channel right before I got on that mine. And hey, Chris, when we got the primary swarm goes out, and then you go in there, and let's say you see, let's say 8 cells. If you leave all them cells in there, will they throw out virgin swarms?
A lot of them, yep.
So if you go in there and you see, let's say 8, you're going to kill every one except for the 2 best looking ones.
Yeah, that's what I tell my customers to do. That's what I do if I have that condition. I just helped my friend out just Tuesday this week, and his hive swarmed. He actually caught his own swarm, luckily.
Right.
And I said, you got to go into your box, and he had 12 cells. So we made a bunch of splits.
Well, there was a lady that was on this other chat, and she was new, and and she had, they were explaining that to her and that kind of stuff. So
This is only his second year, so he didn't realize there was that many swarm cells in his box. So I went through them all. He had 4 frames with cells on it, so we split 2 of them out, and I destroyed the cells on one of them because he didn't have any more equipment.
I had one of mine swarm right in front of me today. I was mowing the yard, and I mowed up by the colony, and they were just pouring out of it. So I thought I could be fast enough to go get a couple queen excluders just to block the queen in, but I didn't get back in time. They were in the air when I got back. Luckily, I went and sprayed some Sword Commander on my peach tree, and they went straight to it, landed, and I just put them in another box.
Right.
But now I got to go through that box and see how
I've
many.
only had one of my 8 frames mating nukes swarm in a 5 frame mating nuke swarm on me. Both of them were a little bit surprised that they're already built up that fast.
Yeah, I've had a couple of 5 frame nukes that build up way, way faster than I thought they would.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, it
only takes one a brick frame, and when those emerge out, that's 3 frames. And
Yeah.
you're full. You're past full. That's what happened on the one that just swarmed on me. Probably the last 2 days, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I had one nuke. Well, it's supposed to go out the door here in the next couple of weeks, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I added boxes just to get by. And so I went in there, like I say, this week, I said, I have got to get in there and see what's going on. I knew what was going to go on. They started making cells, and I don't know, I just pulled a lot of the cap slab brood off and shook the bees off and stuck it into another hive. Kind of, set them back a while.
Yeah. I looked at my notes 2 weeks ago. I went into that 5 frame nuke, and it had no eggs, no nothing in it. So the cell I had put in there previously didn't make it back. She was past due. It was already 3 weeks past due. And I said, well, it's been 2 more weeks. It's going to turn into a laying worker if I don't do something with it really quick. I went in it today, and it's like there's a whole slab. So either the queen flew in like that same day after I said it was hopeless, or some mated queen flew in.
Yeah, because they can smell them hives.
Yeah. So, and they swarmed on me. I know it still had like 2 to 3 day larvae in it, so I know it just swarmed.
Yeah. Well, knock on wood, all my virgin queens have made it back so far.
I can't say that. I'm about 70%.
Really? Yeah. It's been a good year for me for that. Now, one of my yards, it used to be the yard where I put all my virgins at because I almost always got mated queens back. This year, it's like flooded with red-tipped blackbirds. They're just hanging out everywhere. I'm out there working bees. I see them swooping down, and I'm like, I'm not even going to chance putting a bunch of virgins out here. So
Yeah.
I'm only using that. I'm only using that yard for production this year.
I had a bunch of Orioles, common and Baltimore, around my yard this year. They love to eat the bees. I think they're eating some of my virgins.
They
But
will.
Well, they're different birds, you mean?
Yeah.
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 Huh?
Honeybee pound. So I need to put one of my blue boxes over your shoulder. Catch you a swarm, then you can fill up your hives.
Yeah.
I just built 6 of them today.
Well, I don't think I'm going to have any swarm problems. I don't believe. Not where
Well,
I'm at.
not your swarms, catch somebody else's swarms.
I
No,
know
you got all new queens. New queens don't swarm.
Well, I won't say that.
Well, if you give them if you do any management of space, they won't swarm.
Well, I know 3 of the swarms I've caught this year. I know were from my colonies.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I got is like going from old queen. She wasn't laying much, and they were backfilling a lot of that brood comb with nectar. And I don't think they really. I don't think they really, moved the nectar up into the honey supers that well. But I put these new queens in there. That's one of the things I want to check is go in there. Hopefully she's laying. And then if I see some, honey filled brood frames, I'm going to, pull them out and put some empties in so she has a place to lay.
Right.
And I'm gonna keep cycling that out, and then put them in super. I'll cycle 10 of them out or whatever, and put them up in the honey supers and just harvest the honey out of them. Russell, I think I do. I mean, there's more people around me than I think that I know of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the case for most of us.
I got a ton around me. One of my good friends has about 12 hives, about 0.4 miles away from me.
Yeah, I know I have 2, at least 2 that I know of.
Yeah, Charlie, I've noticed that if you got a good new queen, they'll move that honey out of the way.
Will they?
Yeah. They should.
Well, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that takes place.
When I look at my hives, if I pour out that center frame and I see nectar in it, I know I don't have a queen in there because it should be all cleared out.
Well, yeah,
You have to look for the queen.
I had a queen that was basically, wearing out or was wore out, and that's the whole thing about single brood chamber management is that if she's on the money and up to speed, she's laying the whole box up so they can't put any honey down there except for maybe a little bit of the honey and a little bit of pollen. Well, not honey, but actually nectar and pollen up in the corners, just a quick access, and everything else is upstairs. But with my queens, they were old, and I had some of them had drones spotted all over the place. And after understanding what's going on and starting to look at the brood chamber of the old queens versus the brood chamber of my new queens that are in the dukes that I was selling, and that kind of stuff. So I could see where they were packing honey in there because she was failing. I got rid of all them queens, put all these new queens in. I'm hoping, like you say, there's enough open cells so she keeps laying, and she puts out the command to say, "Hey, get rid of this nectar and put it upstairs."
Right. The only thing they won't move is pollen or bee bread.
Alex SBCM, Southern Single Brood Chamber Management.
Have you always just done single brood, Charlie?
I've only started in about, this is my, I guess it's third year or so. What I found was I do the single brood chamber, and I've tried some, like, look, where you, depends where you live at and the flow and the timing. And I tried to put just honey supers on, and they'll make queen swarm cells in the bottom because they run out of, the whole thing about swarm cells is she ran out of space to lay.
Right.
If she continuously lay, they don't swarm. That's my personal observation.
Yes.
So I said, and there's a club I belong to in Pennsylvania, and they talk about the Demery method. George Demery came out with it back in 1892, and it was Charlie was just about to say Southern boys cry more. That it was a swarm prevention method is what it was, is what he was trying to devise with this thing. And also you get double your honey production too. And so what I did was, his method was put the queen in the bottom, 2 frames of cat brood and frame of honey, and let's say some pollen. Everything else is just drawn comb. So she's going to lay in the bottom. You take all the other stuff, all the other brood, all the way out, queen excluder, let's say 2 honey supers, and then we put a brood chamber up top with all those open larvae and all that stuff. Well, as you know, it's so far away, they think they're queenless. So they're going to start making emergency queen cells. So you got to go up there and nix, or either make splits, or actually you should kill all those cells. And that's the way this club up in Pennsylvania did it. And I said, well, you got to be back in there so many days later and all that stuff. So I said, why don't you do it differently, where leave everything down in the bottom and the queen in the bottom, and pull all the cat brood out, or at least half of it, or a little bit more, because you want nurse bees to be down there. So you need fresh nurse bees to help out down in the bottom box. At least that's my theory about it. And I take all that cat brood, shake the bees off so you don't have to look for the queen, put it upstairs. So you got brood chamber, queen excluder, let's say 2 honey boxes, brood chamber. That brood chamber upstairs, they can smell it. So now you've drawn the bees through the queen excluder up into your honey boxes to cover that brood. And there's a reason for those honey bees that are, or foragers, to be coming in and passing off the honey to go up into the stores up in the top. So they'll, go through the queen excluder and stuff. It helps promote that. So now upstairs, all right, you go back 3 or 4 days, just shake the frames off. You might only have 4 or 5 frames. Shake the bees off, make sure there's no voluntary queen cell, because there is always going to be an egg somewhere that they're going to try to do that. Right. So you don't want any virgin queens up there. And then, like at Yellow Hive at the end down there, I had, let's say, 3 or 4 frames of brood. And I thought about this last year. I said, well, that'd be a good place to put my brood comb up there. And I'm like, no, they're going to fill it. I don't want them to fill it. So I put in foundation. Well, while they're hatching that brood out, guess what? They're making wax over there. And they're filling it a little bit too with some nectar. And then in that sense, if you go down the line, you got all good, strong hives. Let's say you got a weak one. Well, that top box becomes a resource hive.
Right.
It becomes a wax building hive for you, or broth box for you. So now you got one hive out of 10, let's say, that needs a boost for some, other than, you need to do something about it. But for now, you just want to keep it going. Well, you can go down to any of them hives, got bees on it. You know where the queen's at, which is down in the bottom. So you can pick that frame up with the bees, with cap brood, and drop it in this 1 week hive in your row. Or you could leave that, if you don't need that, then you know that you got resources that are, so now your hive is creating more and more workforce, bringing more and more honey in. And the queen, if she's good and young, that's what I've learned this year. She'll lay that box up and it manipulates the bees down in the bottom to force them to put all the honey upstairs into the honey supers where you want it. That's the whole concept of it. And I mean, the only problem of it is you got to tear that stack down about every 2 weeks or so and go down there and pull and cycle the, say the frames upstairs are about 85% merged. Good enough. Pull all them frames out of there, put them down in the bottom. When you pull the other brood back out of the bottom box, you gave her more empty frames to lay up again. And all that. So you just keep cycling. That's why I bought the hive lifter. So I could pull that top stack off as a unit. And it saves my back. Saves everybody's back.
So you run excluders on everything.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
Yeah.
I don't want all that brood up in my honey supers.
Right.
Yeah, I run excluders, metal excluders in all my production hives for that same reason.
I'm not a fan of the plastic at all.
No, me either.
I'll take the wet metal. Now, I have the majority of my honey excluders or queen excluders are wooden bound because that's what I bought years and years ago. And I bought some other people out that had wooden bound. I like them.
They still work.
And while they give them a little bit, there seems to be a little bit more burr comb on
the wooden ones,
on the wooden bound, because your queen excluder sits up a little high, so they build a bridge comb in there on this side, bridge comb on the other side, so they can go up and down.
Right.
So
I run single also, PJ, but a little bit different than Charlie. I insulate all my bottoms of my hives, and my reduction hives, at least R15 or so. There are 20 something on my bottom of my hives. And I found out a couple years ago, my queen never goes up in that second box. She always just stayed down in that bottom box during the wintertime.
Huh.
And I didn't have to switch boxes or nothing. And I finally, Charlie started talking about single brood management. And I said, you know what? I just throw a queen excluder on that 10 frame box that's on the bottom and then go up from there. And I replace my queen every year. So I've never had one of them swarm on me when I got a new spring queen in there.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Now, when do you replace your queens, Tom, in the spring?
Well, I graft at that summer solstice right around the 23rd week of June. And then I put them either in my 8-frame mating nuke, or I put a double screen board and put it on top of my other one.
Right.
And then I'll sell the bottom one as an overwintered nuke, and then I drop her down to the bottom box.
And you requeen every colony every year.
All my production hives I do, not my resource hives, but my production hives.
So,
which is 25 hives.
Up on top of so when you're going through the winter time, you got 2 deep boxes, right?
Yes, with a double screen board in between.
Okay, so you're running.
Each box has a shim.
You're running 2 hives on top of each other.
Yes, and I don't put a whole blocks of honey on top of them because I found out I don't need to. I feed them and feed them and feed them until as long as I can. And that whole single box is full of honey, and I just put 6 pounds of sugar brick on a shim on top of it, and put the double screen board on. And I do the same thing on the top box.
All right, so you got deep frame or deep box a shim, a double screen board
Deep box
box
with the new queen
with a new queen.
and a shim, and then the lid.
So then you sell her off in the springtime.
I sell the bottom queen off in the springtime as a nuke, and then
Now,
I move
do you have
the Silver Solstice queen down for honey production.
yeah, what about do you have to introduce her somehow?
No, I take 2 or 3 frames, put hers on, and put it right down to the middle of it, where I took the nuke out.
Well, you pulled 5 frames out, so you're gonna drop 5 for her frames right in the middle.
Yeah, I usually pull 4 frames out. I put 1 frame of plastic foundation so they have something to build. Comb.
Mhm.
Right I put it right in the middle of the 5 frames basically, and they fill that frame right out. And then I
Alright.
just drop the other 4 right down in the center of it, basically.
Hey, Lambrook. Interesting.
Now, I kind of discovered that in the last 2 years. And last winter, I went 100% on doing the 25 hives that way.
So you're doing sugar bricks instead of liquid feed.
Correct. Well, yeah.
You liquid
So I
feed.
liquid feed them until the end, and then I put sugar bricks on them. I try to fill that single brood box up 90, 100%. They just leave a little spot for her to lay during the wintertime, right in the center.
So you're running liquid feed until it gets too cold.
I go till it freezes. I feed them. They take it down. I mean, until they can't take it down anymore. That's when I shut them. Put the shim on them. And then I'll keep feeding the top one as long as I can. The last 2 years, I've fed almost all the way to Christmas.
Really?
But I'm a little bit warmer than you are. Yeah, there'll be days where it gets way below freezing, but then the third day it's 50 to 60 degrees, and I see they take it down.
Well, even here you could have just about fed until Christmas here this year.
Yeah,
Last year we were pretty warm.
yeah. Last couple of years it's been warm.
Yeah.
Hey, Laura. Good to see you.
I haven't
So-
fed in a long time, but I don't know. I'm contemplating feeding this year.
Well, since they take all the honey, I have to feed them, or they won't make it through winter.
Yeah, and see, I don't take all the honey. I leave a decent amount of honey on each one of them.
I don't. I used to, but I take all of it now.
Tom wants or Russell wants to know how much honey is left over the spring.
I mean,
In
in
the-
the hive,
Yeah, left over in the spring. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
not very much. The biggest thing I've noticed is they don't have enough pollen in February. So now this past winter, I put 1st of February, I put some pollen on every hive. Because I found out they can't live on sugar alone or honey alone. They got to have that pollen.
Do you get a pretty good goldenrod flow?
No,
Where you're at?
I don't.
maybe 1 out of through 5 years.
Oh, really?
It's usually too dry. We get pollen, but we don't get nectar.
That's right.
We do. We do get a pretty good flow off of goldenrod
Yeah.
every year. Normally every year.
I wish we could, but usually once we get into July, to August, it doesn't rain down in Cincinnati area.
Yeah. We were pretty dry last year, but we still had a pretty good fall flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last year I thought we were going to get a great flow. It rained every week all the way to about the first week of August, and then the whole month of August we got like 1/10 of an inch of rain, and it just shut them down. The plants were huge, tall, beautiful, but they didn't put out any nectar. Very little.
The only thing we have here is a little bit different. We got spotted lanternfly honey coming in.
Yeah.
That the last 2 years they put a super honey on, which I left, on that hive. But I still start about the week or two after Labor Day, put the top hive feeders on, and 10 framers will take another 6 gallons of sugar water
Yeah.
on
You
top
know
of.
what? We got that spotted lantern now in our area. At least that's what I've read. I haven't seen one,
Hmm.
so that'll be coming in the future, Charlie.
What's that? I was reading the.
The spotted lantern. We have them down in Cincinnati area.
Well, the first year they were everywhere, and last year was the second year, and they were less than half the amount of them around. And but I'm not sure what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I didn't
But
see any last year.
usually if
We
I
had
didn't
some.
have that, I would feed maybe a gallon of sugar water and
Yeah,
get them through July and August. I made a mistake the one time, and that's when I first started with the single brood chamber thing, that I fed them, and one of them swarmed, one of my 10 framers. And what it was, I fed them too much. I plugged them out.
right.
Yeah.
Too early.
Fed them too much. I fed them a little. Should have fed them 1 gallon and just stopped. Just
Right.
enough to get them through. And another thing, I was the first year also, I was learning, and I called the guy up that I had, interviewed. We had a Zoom meeting, and me and a couple other guys. And I said, he was doing mediums. And I said, you're telling me that 2 mediums, you're going to get them through. I said, these damn bees were out on the front of the hive and hot, and, like they just didn't have enough space. And, oh, yeah, well, sometimes I do put the 3rd box back on. I'm like, what? So guess what? About 9:30 at night or so, I was down in the basement, and I had my hand truck, and I think it was at that time, I had 12 hives, 10 or 12 hives, and I had 12 boxes of bees, or 12 boxes of drawn comb, that was brood comb. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it, because I didn't want the wax moths to get into it. Well, I found out what to do with it. You put it back on the hive. And and then as soon as you did that, you gave space, and the bees all went inside like they should be, or at least that's the way I like it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as long as your colony is healthy, that's the safest place to put comb.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's a good, healthy colony.
So that's what I did. Now this year I had made some cloak boards years ago, and I never really used them. I just did for queen ring. I just did a queen's hive, a nuke, and so I tore them all apart, and these last couple hives, I put just a non-wooden, just a regular steel queen excluder, and we'll see how that works out. I mean, it works fine. I'm just looking at, I don't want to bend it with the hive tool and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And all, but the darn wooden bound queen excluders are really expensive the last time I looked. So, and all. Anybody else in the chat want to come in? But that's what I'm doing, as far as, like I say, my main thing is growing the hives. And I'm trying to get them to give me some, I got some of them have, a lot of honey supers. And the newer ones, I'm hoping, especially them ones, I put them in 10 frame deep. They're filling the boxes out. And I put a honey super on every one of them. I'm hoping that they'll, push that honey up into that honey box.
Well, they might yet.
Well, it's still it's only the 10th of May. Of course, and we do have the locusts, and of course, we do have all the rain, which sucks. And hopefully it'll dry off next week. And hopefully the poplar trees will help out, that they're not totally in bloom yet. I know the cherry trees are blooming. I think they're kind of on the last leg on that. And let's see, they locust started last Thursday or Friday. I saw it, so maybe another week, hopefully. And there's no rain, and I'll get something out of it, you know.
We have rain like 3 or 4 days next week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be rainy next week too.
Yeah.
Really? Well, you guys
Yeah.
keep it.
I think the first couple days is supposed to be good, but then rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like
I
that.
think that's what I've seen for here too.
Yeah. I think I'm just a half day behind you.
Right.
So I'm on the west side. I mean, I'm only 6 miles from Indiana border
Okay.
and about 2 miles from Kentucky. Mile and a half from the river, but the river to the other side, it's another 2/3 of a mile.
The
So I'm
stupid
in-
river
I'm
that's
in the
got the
corner.
toll bridge.
What's that?
Is that the stupid river that has the toll bridge?
No.
One of those
Well,
bridges down there, they gets me every time. Daggone
Well-
tolls.
the one in Louisville has one. There's a toll bridge.
Yeah.
Cincinnati doesn't.
Doesn't.
We just found out today the funding for the new bridge was approved on 75 because that's a bottleneck big time. Cut between Kentucky and Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny there, Jason.
PJ, I can be in 3 states and cross 3 rivers in 15 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
I can drive out, cross the Great Miami River, then the Whitewater River and the Ohio River, and cut through Indiana and then into Kentucky.
Yeah, I can be in Illinois, Michigan, or Ohio, but it's going to take about an hour and 20 minutes probably each way. Well, no, I can be in Michigan in less than an hour. Illinois, probably an hour and 20.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I
I
know
have never
about where you're
started
at.
with Illinois.
I used to take 30 up all the time when I drove back down to Cincinnati. Sometimes I'd take 3, sometimes I'd take 9 to 69, 74 to 9 to 69. All depending what I felt like doing that day.
Right.
The only one I didn't do very often was take 75 up to 30 and take 30 across.
Is Bob not chatting tonight?
I don't
I
know.
know he's on here, I know that, or he was earlier.
Was he?
I didn't.
Lee's posted, I know that.
I seen Lee on there. Bob must have made too much money at the Ford dealership today, and he's out eating in a nice dinner somewhere.
I thought maybe he was going out there to start selling cars.
Brian's been on here.
I seen Brian on here.
And Todd's been on here, but he's probably cooking, eating.
So
He's probably driving.
I discovered Cajun Homestead's YouTube page. I've been watching his videos this week.
That's Brad. Yep. Yeah, he's.
Alex can get on. So there's a few out there.
Alex is in Canada, right? Isn't Alex
Yeah.
in Canada?
He's in Quebec.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of the last beekeepers on the planet still doing it by car.
Actually, there was a guy in the mill today that stopped by, and he had a Dodge minivan, and he opened up he had to have a walker, you know, and he opened up his backsliding door. I think his repair shop was in the back of that car. he had I don't know, it looked like to me a little mini air compressor and you name it, he had it back there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I can't say much. The water pumps out of my truck, so I've been beekeeping out of a Jeep Wrangler. It is not easy.
No.
Not easy.
Well, my truck's loaded. My truck bed's loaded up with swarm stuff.
Mine normally
Yeah.
is.
But yeah, it I don't know. I load my pickup up, usually I'm just depending on what I'm gonna do. Go out there and all that. Usually here
Do you even go after swarms, Charlie?
no, not really. I've had a couple I've had a couple swarm calls. Like I say, the one had the friend of mine, one of my customers had it over there at his house, and he called me. I'm at a meeting and all that, and then you have bad weather the next few days, and
Right.
I just don't really have. I mean, if it's convenient, I'll go. But
Yeah.
actually, I got one. I went there. I should have called ahead. Several miles down the road at a farm, and they had packed up and left by the time I got there, because I was in my hives and I had to get stuff done. And I don't know, Tom there now he's got what do you got, Tom? 30 hives at least?
I'm up to 40.
Up to 40. What are you catching swarms for? And
He's already caught 20. How many swarms? 26?
23.
23.
Well, I'm retiring at the end of the year, so I'll have more time next spring. So I'm gearing up.
There you go. I pick and choose mine now. They have to be, if it requires a ladder, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And it has to be within, if I can't drive there in 10 minutes, I don't want them. I used to drive all over the countryside chasing them, and I'm like, that's stupid.
Right.
I put my name on the Indiana DNR website for somebody to call for swarms. Oh, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I mean, that got me a lot of swarms over the years, but a lot of times it's, you drive 40 minutes and it just got to the point where you got to start deciding if it's worth it or not. So I'll let the younger guys do all that.
I'm on a local fire department list, and they call me a few times every year.
Yeah.
But they're usually pretty close, because, just in our local area.
Right. I get calls from tree services. Then just, random people that find me through Facebook or whatever.
Right.
What swarm lure are you using, Tom? Matt wants to know.
I use Charlie's swarm wrestler.
You mean Bob?
I mean Bob's Charlie.
Bob. Charlie Bob out.
Yeah, I've been catching too many swarms. My brain's swarming.
Yeah, swarm.
Yeah, I've been using it the last 2 years. That's all I use.
Yeah, I got a bottle of it, and I used it where, like you say, I had a couple swarms on the logs, and I sprayed it in the back end of that nuke box, and just kind of sat there, and they went in there, and then they just kind of marched right in.
Yeah, that one I did Thursday, that was in the cannabis facility. I could shake it a little bit. I pulled it down with my hand, most of it that was hanging into the box. And I just took plastic I didn't have any more cone frame. I just sprayed it on the plastic foundation. And man, they would crawl right on it.
Mm-hmm.
Threw them in the box, and I just did 3 or 4 of those frames.
Yeah, I'm going to try Bob's next year. I meant to get it ordered this year, but I didn't have enough. I ran out of time, so I'm going to try using Bob's next year.
I have to buy a second bottle. I'm about out of my first bottle. Using it so much the last 2 years.
What does those bottles run? $29?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
I think
all I know, I didn't spray the third frame, and the bees weren't crawling on it. As soon as I sprayed it, they went right on it.
Yeah.
So it definitely works.
Yeah, go to his website, bewares.com.
Yeah, bewares.
Yeah.
Or just go to Walker Bee Ranch website, and I think it's up in the left hand. It's like
Yeah.
it's the left hand side. There's a little link right there. You
I went there once just to see how much it was, but then I never ordered it yet. I'm definitely going to try his next year. I've been using Swarm Commander, so I like to be able to compare them.
Paint your entrance blue and you swarm
There,
swarm
yeah,
that
there
one.
you go.
You'll catch more swarms.
I'll tell you what, if you're lucky enough to get to the swarm, find a swarm while they're swarming, it's amazing. You just spray one spray on a tree branch, and
They're
within 2
there.
minutes they're all there. It's crazy.
Right.
bewaresbigcartel.com. It is $29.99.
29.
But I think Bob's got a discount code for somebody. I forget now.
Yeah.
You have to
Forget too.
Yeah. The only reason I'm using Swarm Commander is because I got it for free. So,
yeah.
Right.
and I like free.
Yeah, bewares.co. Actually, Roy, yeah, they do pollinate marijuana.
Brian says Tom's been using Swarm Rustler as a clone.
Yeah. I spilled some in my truck bed. And man, I do the other day and I was parked at work and said, there's a swarm on your truck. And there wasn't a swarm, but there must have been 20 or 30 bees trying to get in my truck bed.
And www. Chinese privet? No, it's one of the better honeys. You ask me or somebody in the chat, they know more about it than I do.
Yeah, people, the southern people say that's a great tasting honey.
Isn't that what Lee has? Doesn't Lee have a bunch of
Yeah,
Chinese privet?
privet is a good bloom. You know, they all talk about, you know, I get so tired of this is invasive, that's invasive. And, you know, my definition of invasive is like Chinese bamboo, where you plant it and it will spread like wildfire overnight. I mean, literally overnight. Or,
Bradford pear is very invasive.
well, I don't get that either. I don't, you know,
Culinary
everybody plants it for the white bloom in the springtime. That's it. And they break over nothing. They split and break.
right. And the flowers stink.
Yeah, well, they're not honeybee. They don't like them.
Bees don't hit them.
And, but I mean, you know, some people have a problem with the pear tree. Well, okay, whatever. And then the other problem I have is, you know, if I had them, they'll break, you know, at the stems and stuff. They're weak.
You know, a lot of areas in
Like
Cincinnati.
they're trying to kill the tallow. I said, well, you know, the darn tallow tree was brought over here something like 150 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, it ain't no more invasive now than, you know, it is, you know, I mean, it's just been here. And, they, from what I gather, they'll seed themselves in an open field, but they don't kill other trees or anything. So what difference does it make, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about them. All I know, we have those culinary pears, and it will dominate the whole woods. Swamp out everything else. They grow so thick.
What kind of pear is it or whatever?
Well, it's an offspread of the Bradford pear. They call them culinary pears, and they're everywhere.
So, what is your guys' main source of nectar?
Poplar and locust.
locusts, sycamore trees, poplar trees,
Mine's
uh,
most, mine's
basswood is a big
mine's
one.
wildflower and alfalfa.
Yeah, but
And
with
then,
alfalfa fields, I mean, we have alfalfa, not close by, but they're going to cut that as soon as that field is about 2/3 in bloom. They're going to cut that field because they don't want the nutrients in that blossom. They want that for the cattle when they eat it.
They do, but I'll tell you, I have 3 of my out yards. They're surrounded by alfalfa fields, and I'm telling you, when they're in bloom, though, they will fill a honey box. I mean, it's insane how fast they'll fill a box.
Yeah, I tell you, there's a Lloyd was on here tonight, and there's a field up there close to his house, and that guy plants crimson clover for a cover crop. You talk about that's a real beast. Love that stuff.
Right? Yeah.
And it looks really good. But I've never had any, I've never been around that kind of stuff. And around here, like what my son does, the fields behind me, they're all hay fields, and he wants it pretty clean for the horse pay.
the good news is there's pretty many houses now around my area that are starting to they're not spraying their yards anymore. So there's dandelions and clover starting to get more and more of it.
Dandelions and the white Dutch clover, it's only good for a couple hours before the sun hits it and dries up the nectar. So you don't
Yeah, only in the morning.
get a whole
In the
lot of
morning.
Yeah.
There is-
dandelions. It's hit and miss with that. That's more of a marker for us. See the dandelions, put the honey supers on.
Yeah, I got a
Right.
guy that he might be, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile from my biggest out yard, and he has a flower farm, and then they have just a gigantic pumpkin farm there. So that
I don't,
yard
I
is
don't
pretty
know
good.
whether or not there's any nectar in pumpkins or not. I heard some folks that would put hives on a pumpkin farm for pollination services that they actually had to feed the bees.
Oh, really? Starving. Well, I know they bring back a lot of pollen from it.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I got a neighbor that's about a half mile away from me. He grows apple trees. He's got about, I would guess, 80 acres of apple trees. And like this year, I got a full bloom off of it. My bees did. But a lot of years it gets hit. The frost gets it.
Huh.
But I can watch it when that thing's blooming. I can see all my bees going the same direction, all of them,
Really?
hitting them apple trees.
I used to pollinate a blackberry farm for the people, and I don't know what it was about it, but I could load the bees up, no veil, no gloves, nothing, and they'd be just fine. I take them down there; they'd be down there for a week, and they were just vicious. Every time I go down there, that's how they were. They'd be vicious down there, and after the bloom, I would load them up, bring them back my place. 2 weeks later, they were all docile again. I don't know what it was, but that blackberry farm made them mean every time.
I wouldn't know why.
I don't know.
Maybe there was a pest in the area that was bothering them at nighttime.
Could have been. I don't know, but they weren't
Skunks,
pleasant to work with.
So you're saying
Skunks,
blackberry
possums.
bushes that they pick blackberries off of,
Yeah.
and they have a farm for that? I mean, you don't hear that around here.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was a big, I don't know if they call them orchards or what, but I don't know. It was probably 6 acres or so of nothing but blackberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they-
These real long trellis systems.
Yeah, are they tamed? I guess they were tamed blackberries, I guess, planted.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No. The trellis system was pretty sophisticated. They would move the trellis system as the plant grew to make it easier to pick, and it would end up going from this side clear over to the other side.
Really?
They flip that whole plant. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the whole system is pretty neat, but bees definitely, maybe it just wasn't, they weren't getting enough nectar from it. I don't know, but
What about want maybe spray or something?
yeah, I don't know. They weren't pleasant when they were down there, that's for sure.
Yeah, we get a lot of wild black raspberry that grows, just on the edges of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's mother used to pick them things, and make raspberry jam and all that stuff.
Right. I
And
got pretty much on my little
friend
3
of mine,
acres.
she does the same thing. She makes the jam out of it.
Yeah.
One thing I have noticed is the wild rose bushes are really growing this year, at least around my area.
Hmm.
The bees love that stuff.
Roy wants to know, PJ, how many hives per acre?
We did 2 hives per acre. I don't know if that's standard with everything, but that's what we did, 2 hives per acre.
Hmm.
Sounds probably about right.
Yeah, I don't know what the almond crop is, but they set them pretty close.
They do.
Those are trees. That's even more flowers.
Yeah, there is a huge pickle farm. Oh, it's over towards Hammond. You probably know where Hammond's at, Tom, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know how many bees I don't know how many hives they use per acre, but they have a bunch over there. I think all they do is pickles.
Okay.
That's
right.
Obviously, pollination service. I wonder if there's any nectar source there.
I don't know.
I probably not.
Can't be much. I wouldn't think.
These days, the cucumbers are great pollen sources. Yeah, they got plenty of pollen, but you got to have the nectar too.
Yeah, they have the nectar.
Right.
And I know one guy, he's on the eastern shore of Maryland where they do a lot of produce farming. And he did pollination services for years. And good night, Lee. And, move hives for so many months. He's working at nighttime instead of the daytime.
Right.
And he had trailers and stuff like that. And he said when it come to honey, he said people were asking about honey. He said I rarely have any honey. I always have to feed the bees because it's what they're doing. And WW wants to know, but does clover have nectar? Well, white clover does. The red clover, the bees can't grab it.
Grass. And it's a lot of it's a lot of nectar.
Yeah, I thought at one time I want to get into the pollination, but I don't think I do.
Nah,
I'm not. If I was younger, I might.
Yeah, my body's just not cut out for all that anymore.
No,
I
I
don't
got
have
a bad.
you got to have like the guy I was telling you about. He'd have a trailer in one field, and then he had a trailer, let's say 5 or 6 miles down the road, or maybe farther. All right. Well, in this first field, he would have to move the trailer over in the field so many 100 yards or whatever. Well, he can't move that trailer. He had to move the trailer 5 miles down the road over where the new position is in that field and take that trailer back over to the other thing and move it to wherever else. That's,
Right.
and that's get that.
Yeah. I know there's good money in it, but man, that's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Well, it's like beekeeping, like Leanne stuff where you got 1,800 hives, all the different hey Morgan. You got I look at that and that's a hard farming business as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It ain't like it's not like jumping in the tractor and just go and plant and
Right.
harvest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys follow? Do you guys do Instagram too, or just YouTube?
I just usually use YouTube. Why?
They had her on. I think Sweet Cindy's Honey. I think she was on the stream team one night. Anyways, they're big pollinators. New York, they do the cherry trees in New York, and then they load them all up. They all go back to Florida. So they live somewhere for so many months a year. Then they live in Florida for so many months a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
it seems like just a ton of work they do, but I mean, it's impressive. Their whole system's impressive. And I don't know how many pounds of wax that girl goes through, but man, she's got to be making a fortune on her camera.
So Morgan, what's happening?
Oh, just work, and my bees got ahead of me because work and our bipolar weather only gave me good weather while I was at work. And the only good thing about that is I don't have to buy queens now because I got 4 new queens, but I lost the 4 swarms that the old queens went with.
Yeah, and you lost your honey production right there too, to a certain extent,
So,
and all. But yeah, that's the problem. Is here comes James. I think he's going to come.
but I did just try using that Digiboil and jarring some honey, and it works. It's a little slower than what I thought it would be. I might look and see if I can do anything with the valve to make it faster.
Right. To take it off or next time drill it out or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can do something with it to make it a little faster. I mean, it's neater because it's got the little. I can get the bottles underneath it a lot better than I can the honey gate. So it's a smaller stream coming in,
Right.
more directed, I should say.
Oh, there he is.
There's
Yeah.
James.
How's everybody doing tonight?
All right, not too bad.
Good.
So what's
Excellent.
James? You're in your shed. It looks like.
Yeah.
I'm in the wood shop, you betcha. So getting ready for, my first big round of mating nukes, really. So I've, as everybody knows, I have a hard time trying to get stuff up here. Probably about about 5 nights now working in the wood shop. So I've got a little better than 67, 68, I guess, mini mating nukes made up, and doing all the frames and stuff like that for them. So that's 680. I made 1,000 just to be on the safe side. Frames for the mini mating nukes. So and when I say made them, I made them all. So I made the top bars, the side bars, the bottom bars. Actually, you're sitting on top of the stack of bottom bars. But here's what my sidebars look like.
They look really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Well, I'll show you. Here's a bottom one. Which one's the bottom one, and which one's the one I made?
Yeah.
Pretty tough to tell, right?
Yeah.
Worked out well. So, but just busy. Coming out of shutdown, the bees got a little bit ahead of us, so I've been busy out there. First round of nukes are all done, made up. We dropped queens in them last night, so they should be ready to go by the end of next week, as long as I get in them and all those queens are laying. So they were all mated queens that I dropped into them, so they should be ready to go. And then hitting it with the next round. So got the starter finisher hive set up. dropped the grafting bar in there. I guess a day and a half ago here now. So I'll graft into it tomorrow. And my first round of grafts should be about 65 queens if everything goes good. So, yeah, busy.
That's good. It's raining
Yeah.
here today for us, for me anyway. But our main necrosaurus is blooming about a couple weeks ahead of time. So it's hopefully it's going to dry up and I'll I've got some honey supers on the ones that made it in and that kind of stuff. So got everything requeened and that. Hey Mark.
Hi y'all. How are y'all today?
Good. And so tomorrow my plan, if it gets to decent weather, I want to go through all my hives and make sure that we got a laying queen in each one of them. The ones I have seen, like you say, James, you can definitely tell a fresh queen when it comes to for a queen that's vibrant and is ready to go and lay up a storm. Things that I've just never really focused on or took notice of or thought about, I guess is the best way to explain it. It's I won't be making a lot of honey this year, but I've learned a lot.
Well,
so
then it's a success if you've,
oh yeah. I mean, I'm completely, when it comes to my operation, all the hives are back up and running. They just got to build up and I got, like you say, some of the ones that made it through. It's, making honey and stuff like that. So.
Perfect.
So,
Well,
anyway, it's good.
Our nectar hasn't started yet. In fact, we're just getting the first big dandelion bloom that's starting to come now, and that's usually the first. So we fed. Actually, I fed again on. I guess it would have been Wednesday night. Gave them all another half a bucket, but I'm hoping that'll be the end because Alan and I've been paying for feed here now for 2.5, almost 3 months. So,
right. So when is your season? Your honey season is going to start what, June?
End of June, beginning of July. Yep.
Okay. So
if we get some rain, because we still haven't got any large amount. We had one nice rain there for about 2.5, almost 3 days. It was early on, and we haven't had anything since. And the wind has just been howling every day. So, what moisture we got has been dried right out again. And so,
right.
It's been a windy season all year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely, just nasty. But anyway,
what do you got?
I just wanted to drop in and say hi and let everybody know that I'm still here, still kicking. Just lots of work.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to these bottom bars. That's all I have left, and then start hammering.
So how did you make that? How did you make that there bottom bar, James? What tools you're making, or what tools you're using?
Actually, all of this was done with the radial arm saw or the table saw, including my my sidebars.
How did you get that angle done on with a router table or something?
Well, the short is going to come out in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, that's interesting.
It works really slick. I thought about that and thought about that and thought about that, and it's like, how do I do this? And I was originally just going to buy them. I'll be honest. Time is money, and I remember watching a video. Somebody said, "Buy your equipment, build your bees." But my bees are doing their own thing out there right now, so there's not much I can do with it. So I started building some equipment. But I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, I know how I can do that. And
you froze.
He froze. He's not going to tell you.
Well, I seen a video years ago where they took a piece of 2x and they shaped it with a shaper, and then they turned it around in small pieces,
Oh, yes.
and they had gang saws, and they sliced it that way to get the end bars
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah, like I said, the short should be out here. Well, it's all done. It's just rendering, so it should go up there any minute. So,
All right, well, we'll keep an eye out for it.
all right, guys. Well, everybody have a great evening, and I hope your honey flows plenty.
All
We're
right.
pushing this rain up your way.
Yeah,
Good to
that'd
hear
be
from you,
great.
James.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, see you.
All right, see ya.
Morgan, what you showing us there?
Well, this
Cream
is-
honey?
Yeah, the cream honey. I had a bunch of honey left over from last year. They all crystallized, and then I put it in that Digiboil and turned it up to 105, 110. Let it come back down, and that's the first batch. I got another 6-pound batch in the mixer, and then this is the honey off of it.
That's really nice looking honey.
Yeah.
That's out of that Digiboil. I just let it decrystallize in there, and then use the little valve. But like I said, I gotta see if I can make it flow a little faster.
Right. So what's Mark Miller up to these days? He's fixing something there, I see.
Just
Now,
getting
some-
ready to hatch
He's
out a bunch
laughing.
of queens.
What are you putting feed in those cages?
Yeah, it's just hair rollers. Put a little feed in the bottom of them. That way,
Yeah.
Or are you put him in that little bit of honey in that little section of that cap?
right.
Now, do you put any water or anything in there? Just honey?
Just honey. Yeah, you can put like candy or whatever in there. I just use honey. It's quicker for me. I got to make up some candy. I ain't done that yet. Make up a bunch of candy cages.
Yeah. What, you got a bunch of cell protectors over there on the wall?
Yeah, I'll carry you over here.
Yeah, I do the same thing with this. Put a little honey in it.
Yeah, you just don't want to get her wings and stuff greasy.
Those queens are hungry when they come out.
Yeah, I know they are. I usually try to rip off the cell too before they
Yeah.
go back up in there trying to eat that jelly.
Right, because they've been stuck in it.
Yep. What do we got here? We got a scale.
Is that a scale or an incubator?
Thank you, Bear.
Incubator. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Man, so how many queens can you fit in there?
That's 50, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got another little bar there. Some of these gonna be picked up tomorrow, and what I don't use tomorrow, I'm gonna pop a bunch in, and then what I don't use, I'll hatch out. Probably Sunday they'll hatch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start getting some in here. Just get them ready to go. That's what I'm doing, dropping them too.
That's a dead.
That's a good.
Is that one discounted now, Mark?
Yeah, that's nickel.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing, just trying to get caught up so I can go to bed.
You don't drop anymore.
Yeah.
How much longer do those have before they hatch?
They'll hatch Sunday morning. So like I said, I'm gonna drop a bunch of them in tomorrow. I've got a bunch of mate nukes.
Well, that one you drop might still be good, Dad.
Hey, did you call Trent to find out?
Well, I won't take a chance on it. I just
Yeah.
I get showering myself. Really.
Well, that one to Bob Walker.
So now
Yeah.
when you ship what? Well, yeah, that's right. You ship virgins. That's right.
Right.
That's kind of small there.
It's not too bad looking, huh?
We had a lot of rain the week these were made, and the nectar source just kind of slowed down there for a few days. So I could tell the difference in the sales, right? Because of the nectar kind of slowed down a little bit, and I didn't feed them.
Oh, everything's in there on that one too.
Okay.
It does make a big difference.
Huh?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Them storms out there come close to you, Mark?
Um, well, actually, I've got some trees down out here in the woods, but we didn't
Yeah,
have
but
no
I mean,
tornadoes here.
you didn't get any of them straight line winds or tornadoes, did you?
No, no, I was actually in Nashville the morning it hit over yonder at Nashville.
Columbia.
I was. See, I started out in Princeton and went to Nashville, and then went to Lebanon and went back through Nashville, and it was pouring down rain, and it took me 2 hours to get through Nashville with that storm. Then I went up to Horse Cave, Kentucky, and then back to Murray or Mayfield.
Putting in there.
So I was all through that storm.
This is the queen
Oh,
he's making.
you don't have room to do
I
all
know.
that.
Well, fellas, my computer just said my battery's dead, so I'm going to sign off.
All right.
Tom?
Good to-
See you,
good
PJ.
to,
Yep. I'll be watching for more swarms, Tom.
Hey,
All right.
after
I'll be catching a few more, but not many more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You won't pass them up. You'll find a box.
what'd you say, Morgan?
Find 'em.
I got an extra box from Tom. That one that was given to me.
All
See
right.
you guys. Have a good weekend.
2 hour drive.
Hey, I drive more than that every day.
Yep.
All right. Well, I got to get to bed. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, Morgan, we'll catch you.
All right, see you, Morgan.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm not staying on too late tonight either.
I got to shut the place
I
down.
gotta do a cutout. I gotta pick up another. I don't know if it's a swarm or not, but a lady sent me a picture. She's got a little ball about softball size on her picnic table.
That ain't really worth going for.
I know, but it's not too far away from me.
If it's only a couple miles, it ain't so bad.
No, I'll check it out. Probably got a virgin queen in it, or no queen.
Well, you'll be running out of equipment anyway by now, ain't you?
I am about out. I got bunches of nuke boxes. There's easy nukes. I can always throw them in. I probably still got
Pro nukes
30
or
or 40 of those left.
what's the easy nukes? What are they?
5 frame
I mean,
corrugated cardboard.
what's an easy nuke? Is that a wood box or is that a plastic thing or what?
for corrugated cardboard,
Oh,
corrugated plastic. One of
transport
those
box.
Chester Easy nukes.
Yeah.
I probably got a half dozen pro nukes too left. So I can,
Yeah,
I can throw
those nukes that I got were all pro nukes. That's the first time I ever had any of them. They seem to be all right. I don't,
yeah,
you
they
know,
both work. They're just good for temporary.
that's what I look at it. I mean, I've seen some people on other videos where they got the hive still in like one of them easy neck nukes or jester boxes. And I'm like, what do that just, it doesn't have the ventilation and everything else about it.
Well, that's what I sell my nukes in, all those easy nukes. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I use them as transport boxes. I can see that, but
yeah,
keep a hive in there for weeks? No.
no, they're swarm. If you made a good nuke up, 2
Yeah.
weeks they'll be gone.
Yeah. So
It don't take long. My nukes are
Yeah.
making nukes right now.
Yeah,
I'm pulling from a nuke and putting into another and make another one and another one and another one and another one. Oh,
that's why I made those 8-frame nukes. I can take 4 frames out and leave 4 to make another set.
yeah,
Just keep repeating it.
yeah.
So
It's been a crazy year. golly, I ain't never
Uh,
seen nothing like it.
no.
I thought we done turned the corner on the swarming, and I got home today and I was working in the garden and I heard something. I looked around and I had one. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Yeah.
Did they
Yeah, I was
land?
talking to my friend George. He's a third generation beekeeper, and he's a year older than me. So he's been beekeeping for he's 64 years old, been
Back.
beekeeping his whole life. And he says he hasn't seen a spring like this in 100 years.
Yeah.
With
I've never seen it like it.
everything blooming all at the same time. Been
Yeah.
totally crazy.
Well, you know, I need to do more riding around my house to look and see things because, I had honey boxes on, but I went 2 miles from the house and there's 450 acres of crimson clover in bloom. And I
Well,
didn't even
they
know it
can't.
was there. I had
Yeah,
no
but
idea.
bees can't hit that stuff. They can't get to it.
Oh, they tear it up.
They only get white clover. They can get to that crimson
Oh yeah, yeah. Now it's red clover they can't get to.
or the red. Okay. Yeah, the
Yeah,
crimson. Yeah, yeah. I have a whole bunch in my yard. But yeah,
yeah. It's got a wang to the honey. I mean, you'll know it's crimson when you taste it. You'll know it
yeah.
for sure.
Man, I
But I
wish I
had
could
no
do it.
idea it was there, and they just bombarded me with nectar just all at once. So I couldn't get them
Yeah,
on. Couldn't get boxes on fast enough. I've got some out there that's got 6 boxes on them.
yeah.
So,
I got a couple with 5, not none with 6, but a lot of them with 5.
yeah, I've borrowed and bought, and I don't know what else to do. Now I got to start extracting.
Yeah, I know. I like to get some of that clover mixed in with the honey though, because that makes a good honey.
Yeah,
That
it does.
wildflower.
It does. It's a different flavor. It's
Yeah,
hard to explain.
because that black locust is so clear and so sweet. The clover seems to mellow that out a little bit.
Yeah. So
Give it a
this
little
year
bit
we
of
had some locusts come, made it, but in the past years the freeze has got the locusts here. We hadn't had locusts in a while, but
yeah,
this year we did.
yeah. We got pretty good, but then the storms came and knocked it down.
Yeah. The storms kind of slowed everything down a little bit here. It's gonna pick back up here tomorrow or whenever it warms up enough and get back in the
Right.
80s. It'll fall back in place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm putting more boxes on this weekend, tomorrow or Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
had
hoping
to
my
I
last
had
of
to
my
feed my
keepers.
builders today. I fed my builders. I've got another probably 140 cells out there they're building right now.
Oh man,
Oh,
I'm just hoping it gets back, like you say, warm, at something out there for them to bloom to get some honey out of. And I'll hope this rain doesn't knock as much of the blooms off.
yeah, it's definitely slowed down. There's no doubt,
yeah.
but it'll be back.
I hope. So you got 140 cells. So you got 140 little mini mating boxes or 5 frame boxes?
No, I just got another 140 cells in the cell builder. I put
Oh, it's cell builder.
seven more bars. I did Tuesday. Oh, and then I got these here. What's left tomorrow? Saturday's pickup day, so I don't know how many people will show wanting cells.
Right.
And then what I use, and then I'll hatch out the rest of them that buy me time. So, and then I'll have them other ones coming off Tuesday.
You sell a lot of the virgins, Mark?
Well, you'd be surprised. I've sold quite a few mated queens this year.
Okay.
I've partnered up with my neighbor Dwayne, and we've kind of been working together. Of course, we've got we're just starting to get used to working together, and we're trying to run some queens, and of course we're just really getting started, selling mated queens. So we're going to up our game next year, but this year we're doing pretty good. We had about 80% success rate the first round. The second round wasn't too bad. Now we're on about our third, I think. So, and the storms hadn't helped a bit. The wind I thought was going to mess us up, but I'm on this gas line and I've got timber on both sides of that gas line, and it seems to be working pretty good where they're out of the wind. So
Yeah.
we're gonna lay with that, see how long that lasts.
What's it, like a pipeline,
Right.
or are they cut through the woods or something?
Yeah, it's just the right of way.
Yeah.
Seems like it's
Well,
working pretty good right now.
the swarms changed my plans a little bit. I made that monster hive, and I was going to turn it into mating nukes, 12 8-frame mating nukes like the other one. And I had 100 frames just sitting inside of it, all with plastic foundation. 3 swarms came into it. There was no wax foundation, no nothing. So people say you can't can't catch swarms in a plastic foundation. You sure can.
Yeah, we've tried
I
them
was
mini mating nukes, and they fill up with nectar so fast. Around here, it's just no sense in even
I was just
bothering with it.
I was just using it as storage. So I threw all the frames in it.
Yeah,
Your buddy there.
that's my mouse catcher.
Yeah. It's now I can't turn it into a mating nuke. It's just 3 beehives.
We just use 3 frames and 5 frames deep, and just roll with it. We let them lay a while, get them built back
Right.
up, and then split them, and then let the next ones lay a little while, at least a week or so, and then split them and just keep making nukes. Just keep making them.
So, I mean,
Right.
when you put your cell in your mating boxes, are they like 3-frame boxes?
Well, there are 3 ways, them 3 ways I use, and of
Oh,
course
okay.
I've got 5-frame nukes too, but I won't put but 2 frames of brood in a food in them 5-framers. A lot
So
of times I
you
want it
got a deep 10-frame, and you got it divided up into what,
3 ways. Yeah,
three
yeah,
ways?
yeah. And what I've
Yeah.
done is I'll just take the one out of the middle and make a 5-framer on each side, or 4, and just run with it. Pull one out. It just depends on what happens where, what you got to have when you got to have it.
Right.
Well, I mean, you put those cells in there like that, and then she emerges. She gets, well, I guess, yeah. Well, no, you're doing, let's say, mated queens. You're going to go and let her mate, come back, and let her stay in there for a week or 2, and then pull her and
Yeah,
put her in the cage and sell her.
yeah. Build that nuke back up with. It'll be laid out capped when I pull it, and then I'll take a frame out of that, drop a cone in, put a cell in on that brood, move that cone over to another nuke, and just keep building nukes from the nukes. That way I ain't got to get into my production hives.
Right.
So you're pulling a frame of brood out, put an open frame, put a cell in. She hatches, gets mated, starts all over again.
Right.
And
Let
then
them lay them. Just let them lay them nukes up real good. That way you get a real good laying queen. It's been laying a while. It's ready to go.
and then since you got another frame of brood in there, it hatches out, keeps that population up good and everything.
Right. That way you don't have high beetle problems and all. You got plenty of bees. So, seems to be working.
Of
course,
Jason,
I'm not selling no 10,000 of them or nothing like that. I got a job, but it's a lot of fun.
Is it got different colors on the sides for, I guess, for drift?
Yeah. I've got a lot of them set up on pallets down through there. Yeah.
And then Brian would say, how do you feed your 3 ways?
I don't. In the middle of a nectar flow, I don't feed them at all. There's plenty of old bees there. If you feed them, they'll fill up with nectar too fast.
Yeah.
Now, when it starts slowing down, I'll feed them. I'll just jar feed them. And I'm thinking about going to that stuff that Man Lake's got instead of using the sugar water. Early on, I used some sugar water, and I had some got robbed out. And
Oh, you're talking about Pro Sweet?
yeah, that's.
Well, I can
I'm
tell you
gonna-
about that. They can't smell it and they won't rob them hives out.
Right. I think that'll cure that problem. Oh, you was talking about pumping that stuff. What will a trash pump not pump that?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, what I normally do, I had it in a tote, and of course I got a forklift, and I actually had some timbers like 10x10s or whatever, 12x12s. I put that tote up on top of those things. It's high enough to where I could put a screw a pipe on the end of it with an elbow, and I'd fill up a bucket full of it at syrup, let it run out there and fill it up. And I had a gate on the bottom of it. So I'd like stick it out there on a set of cinder blocks. And if I needed to fill the quart jars, I just open it up and fill it up and close it back up and do it that way.
Right.
And that way you don't have to pump it. I guess you're using quart jars or
Yeah. I was just looking at going to get a tote of it and then pump it over, to get it out of my truck. Pump it over into another tote. Or you could gravity feed it, but that stuff's so thick, right?
It's too thick for that, yeah. Unless it's
then
fresh.
I was wanting to put me a 55-gallon drum in the back of my truck and then pump it over into that drum and then add water and dilute that down and stir it with that trash pump. And then feed it with that same pump. Just put me a valve on there where you can pump it slow.
Right.
Feed them jars.
Well, I think Brad, let's see. Now he does sure water. Yeah, I would think a trash pump would pump that. Unless you got a honey pump or gear pump.
I don't have that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
mean,
poor boy.
all right, guys, I'm going to bow out.
All
So
right.
just be Mark and Charlie.
Yeah. Well,
Tom, you take care, buddy.
Well, at the beginning, it was just Charlie and I.
here's Lloyd will tell you. Let's say gear pump works best. Temperature doesn't matter. Lloyd does if he had a trash pump, like a Honda trash pump, would that work?
Yeah, that's what I need to know. Because that stuff is super thick.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, we get back to us here. It is thick. You're out in Tennessee, so what would you have to do? Go up to Kentucky?
Yeah, I have to go up to Clarkston up there at Kelly's or Man Lake.
Yeah, Kelly Man Lake.
Yeah, about 3 hours.
Lloyd says not the best, as far as the trash pump. But
It's not the best. Yeah, that's what I figured.
So, it. But don't you have a tractor?
Yeah.
You got a set of forks, don't you?
Yeah.
How far is Kelly from you?
It's 3 hours, but now my little tractor won't handle a tote. That's too much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much for you.
Honeybee Line wants to know where you're at in Tennessee. He's out in the west side of Nashville, I think. Aren't you?
I'm in northwest corner. Far northwest.
So anyway, but now you got those battery boxes back there. When you're shipping a whole bunch of queens to somebody, what do they pay for them battery boxes too? Do they get them?
No, that's just what I ship them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they hold like 20 or so.
Yeah.
Well, just ship them right there and that. They put them in a box anyway.
Right.
Where a place where I carry it to.
Honeybee Live, where do you live at in Tennessee? He said middle to here. So
Well, somebody said that that tornado got a lot over in Nashville. What I've heard.
I've seen some pictures down around Columbia, and it tore it all up down there.
Shabu, they got him, didn't it? I heard somebody say it got his outfit.
He lives. Honeybee Live lives outside of Nashville. Now Lloyd says you can gravity feed from the truck to another tote. Works fine using about 1.5 inch pipe.
Yeah. But I want to pump that back up into my truck, though. See.
Oh, pump it back up into the truck. Okay.
Right. Emptying that tote out is not a big deal. I could gravity feed, but it's sitting there, and I want to go feed. I want to pump it back up in my truck into a 55-gallon drum, right?
Right.
And then feed that way, or just put it in a tank in the truck or whatever.
Yeah. And let's see. Matt wants to know the bees won't draw any comb until it gets hot. Well, it's best time for bees to draw comb is when there's a flow on. Yeah. That's when they really draw the wax out. If you wait till after the flow's over with, you might that's the end of that. And also, it's always the nurse bees are the ones who do the wax building. Also, you got to have nurse bees in the hive to do that.
Well, me and Brian was having this talk the other day. My biggest bottleneck is early in the year when I first need to make splits is I don't have the deep drawn comb. I don't have any dead outs through the year enough to have drawn comb when I need to be making splits, so I'm having to use foundation. Mm-hmm. So this year, what I'm going to try to do is when the nectar flow is over, I'm going to feed really light syrup and put them deep boxes on top and try to get them drawn.
Yeah. Matt's talking about it's been in the 60s degrees. He's up there in New York. Won't be drawing much honey out. Well, I don't know whether your flow's on up there or not. The best person to really talk to is Steve. He's up there close to where you live. He's up in New York State. And I can't remember what his handle is on here. But I don't know. That, like you say, if you put some not 1-to-1, but 1.5 or something like that, or half of one, it'll probably draw out better. Possibly. So,
yeah, I would say real light. Like 70% water. That way they're not storing it, right? All you're doing is getting the comb built.
yeah, Shane's asking.
I can't read the chat, Charlie. I'm on my phone.
Let's see. He's in Western New York, is all I know.
It's pretty country over there.
Yep. So, well, that's about what's happening here. It's not a whole lot. We got some crappy weather for right now. I was
Yeah.
hoping for some decent weather, and like I say, I've been running around constantly. I know the week I want to, trying to catch up and hey, Philip, like I say, I got everything back to normal 10 frame type of equipment that I want to put them into, and the nukes are building up really nice. And like I say, tomorrow I got to check those hives that I put queens in and had taken the old queens out. I think pretty much all of those are, as best I can tell, is all in a positive situation. Boyd says using a 1-inch gear pump with gear pump on a reduced motor or on the PTO on your tractor should work fine. I wonder if you can buy, well, let's see. Is there any kind of a gear pump that you can buy like at a tractor supply place?
I don't know. I've not looked.
And that would be the best. Put it right on the PTO shaft, and like ideal pump would be like a sprayer pump. Like
Yeah, just put it on a wagon,
yeah,
and just have your tractor hooked up to all of it right there. Boom.
yeah, and turn the damn PTO shaft on, and there you go.
Yeah.
That might even be better with your tote. You could put the tote on a wagon if you had a wagon big enough, or like you say, a 50. You could have got a tractor with 3-point hitch. You can make a platform and put the damn 55-gallon drum on the platform.
Well, it's got a 3-point hitch, but I've got that quick connect junk on there, and it don't fit all my implements either. I've got all old stuff, so, and I have to take it off constantly. But it's nice on the new stuff, right?
Hey, Carl.
That stuff ain't cheap, man. When you go buying stuff,
I know
it's expensive.
My son we got this round baler, and it's computerized, right? And there's a trunk line cable that goes from the monitor. We have an older monitor, which they don't make anymore, obviously. Okay, a cast iron gear pump is good, but not sure about a roller sprayer pump. I didn't know how they actually worked.
Yeah, rollers.
Well, anyway, what I was getting to tell
that
you
works with the wheel rolling, right?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But anyway, we got this trunk line. That sucker was $700, $750, to run it from the monitor back to where the baler connects it into. All right. We could get that. Couldn't get the monitor. We just took the monitor out of our other tractor and put it in his new tractor. But we kept the two trunk lines. So if one has a problem tractor wise, we can swap monitors quick. Well, on the back of that tractor, there's a bracket, and that trunk line goes in there. It didn't come with a flat washer, a nut, I guess you might, like a big round ring nut. And then it has a little chain. It has this here aluminum cap that you go in, and it's kind of like a bayonet connection,
It only go one way.
Yeah, it goes in one way, connects in, to protect the end of that trunk line. How much do you think that the nut, the flat washer, and the cap cost? And they're made out of aluminum. $80.
I was going to say 100.
I'm like, the cap alone was $60, and it's made out, it's just, it's only that big.
Yeah.
It's like, it should have been $8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had to buy a shaft the other day. I twisted the shaft on my little tiller, and it was almost $400 just for the drive shaft to fit it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's just absolutely crazy. But anyway, I don't know. It's just they don't know what to charge you anymore. It seems like
Yeah.
stuff. So
Well, we're working ourselves into poverty the way things are going.
that's what it amounts to.
Yeah. Well, it seems like to me anyway.
Yeah, something like that. So, well, guys, it's about 10:30 here. Last call is that anybody wants to come on. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the chat down here in a minute or two, and call it a night. But it's been fun. So sound like you're doing well, Mark. Sound like you're getting a lot done. Roller pumps just like a gear. Let's see, Lloyd. Roller pumps just like a gear pump, but uses either 4 or 6 spaced out rollers instead of gears. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And Carl, he says it's an early night, so he's probably got a show to go to tomorrow morning.
I got to get up and work bees in the morning.
And I got to get up and go to the sawmill and listen to, take care of a bunch of customers. I got one lady that's supposed to show up looking for a fireplace now. Yeah, it's like Jason Center, McDonald's starting at $15 an hour. Everything jumps. So
Yeah, you can't hardly eat a hamburger anymore for less than $20. Seems like you eat a 20 up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. Golly.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll catch y'all later. See you next Friday, same time, same place. And
Bye, y'all.
see y'all later.